It is so, okay, let's see. Comadres, it is so wonderful to see you today. I'm actually not at my home right now. I'm getting ready to attend a continuing education graduation for Austin Community College students, and I'm really, really excited. It's our Spanish dominant group that's learning computers and English. I'm really excited about that. But I get to be with you right now and with Comadre Sylvia Klinger. Now, I have to tell you, Comadre Sylvia Klinger did an event for us in Chicago, actually in one of the suburbs of Chicago, when Abuelita Chocolate was one of our sponsors. And they gave us aprons and they gave us the chocolate, and they brought a bunch of other stuff. It was a fabulous time, and many comadres came, and I have a fond memory, Sylvia, of that event. And so today, Comadre Sylvia will be talking to us about tamales, pasteles, and flan, eating healthy during the holidays. Dr. Sylvia Klinger. So Dr. Klinger is an internationally recognized nutrition expert. She is a global nutrition professor, award-winning author, and the founder of Hispanic Food Communications. Her latest publication, The Little Book of Simple Eating, and she's going to show it to you in a little while, was published in both Spanish and English in 2018. And you could visit her at www.hispanicnutrition.com. Comadre Sylvia, take it away.
Thank you, Nora. I also have amazing memories with you. And if you remember too, Nora, I went to the very first Comadrazo in Austin. You remember that?
Remember.
I
Yes.
stayed in somebody's house. Whose house was that? I remember we stayed, I think you and I were staying together with her. She was lovely. She had a lovely home in Austin. And I mean, I still have those, and that was like so many years ago. And that was the very first Comadrazo. And I never forget thinking, this group is on fire. Está de fuego. I absolutely became enamored. And of course, when, we talked about having something here, I'm like, of course. And every time I see the comadrazos going around Chicago, and sometimes I can't make it. And even the ones that are virtual, always kind of seems like it's a little bit, something else crosses my side that day. But I really yearn to have another comadrazo here in the house. So and maybe we get together for the biggest comadrazo too. So great memories, and I'm just delighted that I could be with you guys here, because really nutrition is my passion. As you guys know, this is something that I live and breathe with mi gente, and there is nothing that brings me more joy than if I can help somebody prevent diabetes, heart disease, cancer, any of these things that I get to see them in the hospital. And all I could think is like, if I could just be there a little bit sooner, I could have prevented this. So, what I bring you today really is simple tips that I've been talking about it for over 30 years that I feel make a huge difference, but they're very subtle. There's nothing like, we always think, ay, come pura lechuga, come pura broccoli, whatever. That's not my approach, because we're humans. We eat. In Latinos, you talk about food in Latinos, I mean, that's like our arms and our legs. This is, I might not have a house, a vacation home, but I have food in my table. I got food on the table. So when we talk about food, it's a very touchy subject, because this is dear and close to our heart. Very dear and close to our heart. So it was interesting that a few years ago, when my son was going to start college, I remember he and I were in a store, and he saw a little book about nutrition by somebody who was not a dietitian like myself. And he's like, Mom, you should really put all your tips in a book. And I was like, well, maybe. He goes, I'll help you out, just all those tips that you have. So that day I came home and I wrote over 500 tips. Well, to make the story short, I actually made it. It's pink because my favorite color is pink. And so I ended up doing 87 of the best ones because we chose the very, very, very first ones. So I have in English and I have it in Spanish as well, because of course, you know, we are bilingual people, and whatever we do, I have to do it in both languages. But what I have for you today then is, and I'm happy to, you know, give away, you guys, it's just a small group of people. If you want the book, send me your email, and I'm at Sylvia, is with the Y, Sylvia at HispanicNutrition.com. So you can, I'd be happy to send you even the digital copy, or send you, you know, send you a hard copy. The hard copy, because I thought I use them as gifts. Okay, so when people, I feel that, you know, this is a way for me to give a little bit of myself. And when people, I go to people's homes or whatever, you invite me over, I will bring one of this. But because you're here tonight, are you coming into my homes? I can send you a copies of these, whether digital, and you tell me Spanish or English, whatever you desire. And tonight I chose the ones from my little book that I felt are most appropriate for the holidays. Because the holidays, you know, las posadas, we have, you know, great celebrations, but on the other side too, you know, what happens to, you know, it brings a lot of guilt and a lot of anxiety that, you know, I'm going to gain more weight, my sugars are not going to be in control, whatever, you know, there's a lot of mixed feelings with these holidays. And I want to really make this very open because, you know, estamos en la casa, you know, we're comadres, we're sisters, whatever we want to call us, hermanas. So I want to make this because I really want to help you. And I think what you have to ask me and the questions you have are more important than anything I have to say. But I'm going to give you a few tips that I feel have really worked really well with my patients in the past over 30 years, that I feel in as Latinos, it really resonates with us.
Recording in progress.
It's a recording. Okay, want to make sure we capture it. So anyways, because I know some people have asked me. All right.
We are.
Yes.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. So I'm going to bring you these tips that I have, that I feel that I have. My husband is making a lot of noise here because he thinks I'm in a headphone. I'm not in a headphone, honey.
Excuse me, Sylvia, let me simply say that each time we have a person come in, it will say recording in progress.
Oh,
okay, because they don't know it's being recorded. So that's why you'll hear it.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying that. So I don't think like, oh no, what's going on? All right. So I'm just going to go over these tips really quick. But again, you know, you guys can interrupt me. I know, you know, we have, what is it, until, you know, I want to make sure I leave plenty of time for questions. But I want to give you a few tips that I think, you know, instead of going like, you know, let me give you a menu, let me give you a meal plan. You know, it works really well when we practice these habits, because habits are for life. A diet is for a day, a week, you know, maybe a week, but habits last forever. And that's what we need to work on. This is what this is what's in here. It's simple eating. It's comiendo saludable, because we have healthy habits that will lead us to eating a little less, to eating more nutrient-dense meals, to eating on time, you know, whatever, you know, so they lead us into living a healthier life that ultimately helps you to attain the health goals that you're looking for, okay? So I'm gonna give you some of these habits that I think you don't have to master them all at once, but one, you know, slowly, perhaps start with the one that is the easiest. For example, one for me that I talk a lot about that I think is so basic, but there is like, oh my, it makes huge difference. It's drinking water in between meals and starting the day with a glass of water. I mean, literally, I have a glass of water by me. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. How many of you have your glass of water, ladies? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Iris. Your glass of water is critical, okay, that you have that next to you. And start, when you wake up, the first thing you need to do is drink that big glass of water, okay? Because you need to cleanse. That's how you cleanse your body. Forget those toxic, you know, those things that do clean your body. This is going to clean your body, okay? And then I'm going to tell you another thing that could clean your body as well, cleans that gut. But waking up with a glass of water, and then every hour drinking a glass of water is going to help you to really eat a little bit less, because what happens, that your body is more than 60% water, liquids. And that's how important it is for your body to have enough liquids. So when your body has enough liquids, then it's not really drawing it from other places that it needs to. And that way, and you feel satisfied. I mean, literally promise me that you start tomorrow with a glass of water and that you continue during the day, because you're going to see that at the end of the day, you will have eaten less calories. I guarantee you. This works like a charm. I tell, when people say, I want to lose weight, the first thing I say, start drinking more water. And not only you're going to eat less, your skin is going to look better, your eyes are going to look better. I mean, there's just so many things that it picks you up, it gives you energy, it brings you more into focus. I mean, so many things that happen when you're dehydrated in your body. So this is one. And for me, it's really hard sometimes to drink water. So believe it or not, it's something that I try really hard to establish, to make sure that habit stays in there, because as old as I am, almost 60, 59 and a half, it really brings that glow in you. And I'm telling you, start today, tomorrow morning, if you can, so that you can start seeing that difference with something so little that costs nothing, really. Nothing if you just use it from, the tap water. So like I say, for me, it's really hard to drink water because I always want to be on the go, and, but I have not only the water, I also have tea, here as well. I try to think the things that I like, and I love tea. So I bring my tea as well, and I keep it throughout the day until, and I make sure I bring a big pot of tea. So by the end of the day, I have, completed, plenty of water. And I try to drink at least about a gallon, because that's how much we need. And believe me, you're going to feel so great, and you're going to be able to manage those cravings much easier than if you were dehydrated. Okay. Any comments about that, ladies? Mis mujercitas bellas.
Do you drink tap water, comadre?
I mean, tap water, sometimes, even like if I'm in a hotel, I drink the water from the, the faucet. I do have some sparkling water because I like that too. But another thing that you could do that I think as a Latina, I love it, is infusing it a little bit. I sometimes add my favorite cucumbers, pepinos. It's, you go into a fancy spot and what do they have? A water with sliced cucumbers. It really adds a nice little crisp flavor. You would have never thought, but sliced cucumbers, it's a beautiful thing. So in the morning, you can pick a big jar, slice a few cucumbers, or I sometimes add, like if I have any leftover, like oranges or lemons or limes, maybe I slice a couple. Other things I use, I have even put in like, sliced strawberries when they're in season, or anything like that I have. I mean, I will not put things like bananas because that will get kind of slimy, but people have even tried with lavender. If you have some of those herbs around where you live, I don't have anything in Chicago but ice right now. But if you live in that area where you can infuse it with even basil, oregano, and things, some of those herbs, mint, of course, things like that as well. It works really beautiful. Really beautiful.
I have a question.
Yes.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Mirta.
Hi,
from New York.
Mirta.
Hi, ¿cómo estás? El agua que uno toma durante la comida, ¿puede ser fría o es mejor que sea a temperatura ambiente? O hay gente que come con agua tibia, por ejemplo, que dicen que es mejor, pero uno nunca sabe. A mí me gusta el agua fría y me dicen otros no, tenés que tomarla natural.
Y mira, en realidad, Mirta, Mirta, ¿verdad?
Sí, podemos hablar en inglés, I'm sorry, te hablé.
No, it's okay. Yeah, yo hablo muy bien el español también, no te preocupes. So it's whatever you like. When it comes to water, it could be hot, it could be, one of the things that I have learned through research, that if it's way too hot, that is not good. Something that is too hot. Because what happens with that is that it could really cause some damage in your body, okay? It increases these things. But so something that is really, really hot, and it's not just with beverages, but any food as well that is too hot is not good. To have food that is extremely hot, but I think if you like it on ice, and anything that will help you, drink it. That's what I tell my patients. If you like it hot, then I usually let my tea kind of rest, and then because I don't want it too hot, and I don't like my mom loves things hot, but I'm like, mommy, no tan caliente, please, okay? So I try to just kind of let it cool off, and I put a little lemon, I put sometimes a little honey in there. So whatever really makes you drink it, that's the key. Because I don't like plain water. I mean, I have a little plain water here because I've been in meetings all day, and it just happens that I ran to my faucet and I have my water there, but and fill it up. But otherwise, it's really whatever. And for me, flavor is really the key for me to drink. And I have to remember this because I don't like plain water. And when I have plain water, I had these now for about 3 hours, and look at how far I gone. Not even enough because it doesn't have flavor. Okay. So you have to really find a way that you like it, hot, cold, tibiecita, whatever, not too hot. Okay. Bueno, and then add the flavor. I like the sparkling waters. So I do have some of that. And when I go to restaurants, because I don't drink alcohol, I drink sparkling water with a splash of juice. That's another thing that you could do too. Like I do 3/4, my family even knows, 3/4 of water and one little, a little bit of juice on top. And that just adds a nice little flavor too.
Okay.
All right. Now, something that goes with water, it's fiber. This is my next thing. Okay. Fiber, foods that are high in fiber, because they also make you feel full. And fiber not only helps you to feel full, so you eat a little bit less, but helps you to have greater mobility of your gut and your intestine. So you go to the bathroom more, often. And when we talk about the bathroom, which is not a conversation we have very often, I tell people, you have to really go pee frequently. And this is why we need to drink water, because that's what's cleansing your kidneys, is cleansing your body of the other toxins, and then it giving your organs new water to work with. Same with fiber. Fiber, and I don't have a thing here, but let's say this is, the stomach here. And when you put fiber, it's like a little brush, and it keeps pushing things down como una escobita, and it's getting all the leftovers from your meals, okay? So when you eat, automatically in your mouth, you start to digest. The enzymes are digesting your protein, your carbs, and your fat. And all that, there is an enzyme that will go and start digesting those foods, each one of those big nutrients. And but you need the fiber to keep pushing it through the system. And then when it gets to the intestines, this intestine is like 24, 26 feet long. It's that long intestine is huge, as you can see, 20, and that's a long 24, 26 feet. That's a long intestine. Everybody has the same length. And you need to have that fiber to push all those leftovers through it so you can poop. And they say pooping is about number 1, number 2, whatever, it's a little more respectful perhaps. So number 2, it's about 1 to 2 times a day. That's what we recommend. And this is why we need that fiber. Where you find the fiber? Fruits and vegetables, of course, and also whole grain items. So those are the 3 things that have the most. So like things like avocados, we love, have tons of fiber. Pears, now that are in season, calabaza, butternut squash, all those things that are now in season have a ton of fiber. So, una sopita de calabaza, and, whenever possible, this is how I tell people to have the fiber. Whenever possible, top things with some vegetables. So if you have some tacos, do the cabbage, okay? Do the purple cabbage with a little mayonnaise and put it on top. Put more of the cabbage instead of the meat. Now, when you have, let's say, frijolitos, salsa mexicana, put the salsa on top, because that's a lot of vegetables too that are in the Mexican salsas. When you have, for example, let's say you're gonna have some, like the tamales. What can we put on top of the tamales to make that a vegetable in there, to make it more fibrous? Maybe perhaps putting some vegetables, sometimes they put rajas, in those tamales, okay? So add something that will add more fiber, okay, to those tamales. So Instead of having one rajita, only the chile, add several, because chile is a vegetable and it's very high in vitamin C and many antioxidants and many other nutrients. So eat up all the salsa you want, ladies, okay? Because that's vegetables and that's loaded with nutrients. So we need to find those foods that are what we need. It's so easy to say, don't eat, don't eat, don't eat, don't eat. We know what we don't eat, what we don't need, or what we eat too much of. But what we need more, that's what we need to add more. And when you're in those parties, remember that. I haven't had a vegetable, so let me see, let me add some vegetables to these tamalitos. Let me add, if I have, for example, a flan, then add some fruit on top of the flan. So add the things to the things that you love that you're missing in the diet. And to have a balanced meal, we know we have 5 food groups: the fruits, the veggies, the whole, the grains, 45 whole grains. We have the protein group: fish, meats, eggs, nuts, and then we have the dairy. When you have 3 groups represented in a plate, at least, that's what we call a balanced meal. So you have los tamales, le pones vegetales, ya tienes 2, and then you can have a glass, put cheese on it, then you have 3, okay? So that's how you build your meals, okay? And the more food groups, the more balanced, because variety, remember that word, variety, is what gives you a balanced, nutritious plate. Without even thinking about, oh, that has vitamin C, no, forget that. Think about the food groups. And the more food groups you put into that plate or that bowl or that cup, even if it's a licuado, something as simple as a licuado, you add the milk, you make it with milk, le pones el maíz, because I make mine with masa. So I put, that's corn. So you're adding, or grain, so it's a grain. And then you can put in a fruit, add, fresas, you can put in apple, banana, whatever you want to add to your licuado. And then you have 3 already, okay? That's simple. Even with 1 licuado, you can have a balanced meal with that licuado, okay? Because when you're missing nutrients, that's when we get into trouble. Then we are hungry. Then we don't feel energized because we're lacking nutrients. It's that simple. We are, you're going to feel what you put in your body, just like if you're driving. Think about, if you don't put gas in your car, if you don't get the tires checked, if you don't have all these things, that take to drive a car efficiently and comfortably, it's going to be like, it's not going to be doing well in the road. The same thing, if you don't really put the nutrients that your body needs to function every day, you're definitely not going to be all 100% up there, okay? And let me tell you, there is no better feeling. There's no better feeling than feeling energized every morning when you wake up. And not with caffeine. I don't take a drop of caffeine, and nothing wrong with caffeine. I just feel like I don't need it, because you feel your body with the things your body needs. And everybody needs a little bit different, some things more than others as well. So these could also, you have to kind of find out what exactly, what makes you better, feel better. What nutrients you're lacking on your diet from those 5 groups. What of those groups are you lacking the most? And then adding more of that is what you need to really feel that energy every single day. I mean, some days you might feel a little bit low, but for the most part, you're going to feel really good. And that's my goal, that people feel good and they're energized and they have the energy to do the activities they need to do. All right. So with that, I want to give you also a few tips for the parties. Okay, so let's say you have people at home. Thanksgiving next week. How many of you are gonna host Thanksgiving? Or all right. I have about 12 people coming to my house. So here's some tips. When you're serving, I know it's so tempting to put the whole entire thing in the table, the whole turkey, the whole mashed potatoes, el chipotle también, enchiladas, you name it, put it all in the table. But I'm telling you a tip. To help your guests and to help yourself, try to keep everything in the kitchen. You serve everybody gets their plate, everybody go sit down, you say your graces, you hold hands and you say thank you for everything that you're thankful, and we're all thankful for something. And then if they want more, they can go back. But guess what? By having those things on the table, what happens when you have a plate at the table? Even if you're busting out of your seams, you're going to eat more. I guarantee you. you're gonna eat more because it's just, you know, it's just the law of eating. You have it in front of you. When they put those I love sweet potatoes. And my sister-in-law makes the best sweet potatoes. And she's coming over and I always make me an extra because I love it. But if that sweet potato is in front of me, I guarantee you I'll eat the whole entire thing. Just like if you had a whole thing of Oreo cookies or something in front of you. But when you take a few and you put it back, and you know what? Today I was reading this research that if you put something far away, let's say you're tempting, you know, like now that we're going to have a lot of candy around or chocolate and things like that, cookies, whatever. They say when they are not in your vision, okay, 70% more likely you're not going to eat it. Okay. So think about that. So when you get your candy, you get things that you know you love. First of all, try not to buy them as much, you know, like I try not to buy the candy I absolutely love. So boy, if somebody brings you something, you know, put it really far up because they say 70% you will not grab it as often as you would have if you put it far away. And the same thing goes for the food then, you know, that you put in the table. It's so tempting to put it all in there, you know, and sometimes, you know, I might put like the plate of the turkey slice, but, you know, I don't bring the whole bird. I just bring a few that I think is enough for everybody to have a few slices. And then that's what I put in the plate and I bring it and I pass it around to everybody to take some. But I try really hard because that's also helping my guests not to overeat. Okay. And at dinner, like, you know, Navidad or whether any posadas, we know that we're going to be overeating. We know that there's going to be a lot of food around. We need to pace ourselves. We need to pace ourselves and be away from the table. It's another one too. If you're standing, if you're doing like a buffet style, a party, a work party, try to stay away from that table as well. Again, because if you're next to it, you're going to continue to fill your plate. But if you go away and you try to meet people and you try to really meet others, that's the essence of really the holidays, is really being with people, conversing, seeing the people that you haven't seen, catching up with friends and family. You know, the food is there too, of course, and it's made with so much love, but it's the people that really enrich our lives more than anything. Okay. So when you go to the parties that are gravitating to that table with the food is like luscious, you know, grab your plate and then go mingle, go meet people, go make new friends. And you're going to feel so much better at the end of the night as well. And with that also goes about drinking, you know, too. It's so easy too. You know, I don't drink. So for me, you know, I have to pace myself with either sodas or other things that might be tempting me around, you know, that they might have great juices or whatever it might be, because there's a lot of non-alcoholic drinks now that are really good and also loaded with calories. So I have to pace myself as well and say, you know, I'm going to start, maybe I'll have a small glass, and that's another key. Small glass, small plate. Don't go with the big plates, go to the small plates, because you're going to also have a lot less food on that plate than if you had a bigger plate. And that same with the cup. So grab a small cup, maybe fill it up with the drink, the wine, whatever you like. And then the rest, you know, kind of alternate with water and other drinks, something sparkly, something, you know, with a splash of juice or something. Try to alternate so you're not also drinking your calories. Because guess what happens when you start drinking? You also lose track of the calories you're eating as well, unfortunately. And, you know, one drink and two, and the next, you know, you're eating half of the cake as well. So one thing leads to the another one as well. I want to pause here for a few minutes to get more comments before I give you a few more tips. But I know that I can go on tips forever, but I want to hear from you as well and make this a more, you know, una conversación. Any questions you have, or should I just go?
So for anybody who wants, just unmute yourself and ask your question.
I prefer to do buffet style.
To keep going. Okay, you got it. All right. So I'm going to continue.
I work less.
Super. But know that you can always raise your hands or put the hand motion with emoji, whatever you want, and I'll be happy to entertain your question. Another thing too is that when we go to the holidays, you know, what does it call it? Un hábito que nosotros los Latinos tenemos, and a habit that we have is like, I'm not gonna eat the whole day. So when I go, I'm just gonna, then I have, my appetite is so good to eat all the good stuff. Okay. And that, unfortunately, is a big myth, because this is what happens when you stop eating during the day and you're basically going ayunas, because you're going to have this big party at the end and they're going to have good food. What happens is you will probably eat 2-3 times more than if you pace yourself during the day. Then if you would have had a breakfast, you would have had a snack, and then you would have a small lunch, perhaps. You could have smaller meals, but don't go without food. Okay, because then when you get to the party, guess what? You're not going to leave that table. You're going to eat, and then to bring satisfaction is going to take a long time. And by the time you find out that you're full, it's going to be way over. You're going to be way full than you should have. So again, it's pacing yourself. If you know you have a party that day, drink a lot of water. Start with the water more than ever. And then, maybe even before you go to the party, have a little something so you're not starving. Because guess what? When our hunger level is that high, that starving level, it's like you cannot even eat enough until, for your brain to register that it's full. It's going to take a lot longer. So always, people will eat 2-3 times more than they would have eaten if they would have spaced out their meals a little more during the day. So it's great to have those big celebrations. But again, there's always tomorrow. There's always more parties. Siempre hay mañana, okay? Another thing that we get into trouble, because most of our foods of the Latino population are basically pretty nutrient dense. I mean, they have a lot of nutrients. We actually tend to eat more vegetables than Americans. We tend to eat more fruits. Our plates, we tend to eat more grains. So our plate is a little more diverse than most other, than Americans here. Our trouble becomes in the portion sizes. Yo siempre digo, the problem is in el veneno, the poison, it's in the portion, okay? So the poison is in the portion. Because I tell people, you can have a little snack, you can have desserts. Even my diabetic patients look at me like, what? I can have a little sugar. Yes, you can. Because we can accommodate for those carbohydrates or that sugar, into your plan. Not every single day, but if you have a celebration, we can account for that, and you can have a little piece of cake. Well, the same thing happens here. Even if if you want, I always say you can go mini if you want to have something almost every day. If you want to have a little something sweet after a meal, then go mini. There's mini chocolates, there's mini. I buy these little mini cones of ice cream, and they call mini cones of ice cream. And they're only, actually, they're a little bit bigger than a mini, because there's the mini size, but I go to a little bit longer because I feel the mini is not quite enough. But I go a little, and it's 100 calories. I mean, not to count calories, but that is very satisfying. And I don't have it every day, but maybe 2 times a week, I might have that after a meal. But I think knowing that you can have something, but the calorie difference could be huge. Think about the pies now during Thanksgiving now. Apple pie, okay, a regular size, with maybe a little bit of ice cream or whipping cream on top, which most people will probably have, that could be 400 calories, okay? Just the pie. And then when we think about how many calories, we need a day, no more than 2,000, that's for somebody who's 5'3", 5'4", not me, I'm only 5 feet. So my intake really is 1,500 a day to maintain my weight, okay? 15, maybe 16. If I exercise that day or something, maybe if I exercise really hard, then maybe, I can go to 1,700, not a lot. So think about if the pie alone on Thanksgiving was 400 calories, there's not a whole lot left. I only have 1,000 calories left, and that's and then a glass of milk is 100. My little ice cream is 100. I mean, it adds up really, really fast. So what can you do? Cut that slice in half, okay? Cut it in half and skip the ice cream, perhaps, just put a little whipped cream. share it with somebody. You know, when I go to restaurants, and I have a sweet tooth, so I always want to have a little something sweet after dinner. And I'm like, you know, but you know, I never say anything. You know, everybody's like, anybody wants dessert? I'm like, you know, don't look at me, because I'm always will say yes. So I just wait. And then if some, you know, and if they start to say something about, oh, let's order these. And I said, well, why don't we order one or two and then we share? Okay. Sharing, it's great. You know, when I go out to dinner with my husband, my mom, we share. You know, we each start with the soup and then we share an entree. And we save a ton of money, let me tell you. Waiters might not like that, but it's a way for us. And even if we have room for dessert, and then we can share the dessert. So we start with the soup or a salad, and then we share an entree, and then we share a dessert. And we feel like, you know, we feel very satisfied at the end of that dinner and not like overly done. Maria, you have, Charlie, is it Charlie? You have a question? I saw the hand up.
Yeah. So I always hear about eat more often, eat smaller portions, but more often, so that you keep your metabolism going or processing. Is that true?
That's a great question too. And you know what, the challenge in nutrition is that everybody's needs are different. And that's what makes it very difficult for me, because I really have to get to know this person in order to make those kinds of recommendations. So for example, if somebody exercises, you know, during the day, then I will definitely say to them, you know, that eating small meals is better. If you're always hungry, like somebody like me, I'm always hungry. 5 meals, it's perfect. Somebody that maybe has breakfast late, you know, so I might say, you know, 3 meals, you know, maybe with a little snack later might be enough for you. So I think it really depends on your hunger level. If you feel like, for me, like 2 o'clock, I mean, I am just like famishing. I need something around 2, because I'm, you know, working from home, especially. I start early. I start about 5:30, 6 in the morning. And then it's like, I sit down, I eat a little breakfast then. And then about 10, I'm like really hungry and I have to have a snack. And then again, I have lunch around 1, and then 3 o'clock come, or 4 o'clock, I'm like, I need something. So that for me, it tames that. And of course, if I keep drinking, that craving usually goes down too. The days that I drink all my water, then I don't have those cravings as bad. And I can maybe skip, you know, one of those meals, one of those small snacks during the day, small meals. But I think you'll find out that if we drink plenty of water during the day, or whatever infusion you like, you will feel a lot less inclined to have those little meals, unless until you're exercising heavily. And I always think before exercise and after, it's always sometimes it defeats the purpose, because we might eat more than we exercise, because, you know, when running is, for me, you know, when I run, it's like like 3 miles, that's only 300 calories I'm burning. That's not even the piece of pie. So, you know, we think that because we exercise and we're sweating profusely that we can eat all we want, and it's really no license for that. So we have to really pace ourselves even. But I always say, people who want to exercise, you know, have a little something, whether it be like a cup of yogurt, something with a protein and a carbohydrate, that seems to really be like a nice pick-me-upper before. And then after exercise, well, and even before exercise, maybe like a carbohydrate is even better, because that gives you more lasting energy. But then after the exercise, it's a protein, like peanut butter, a piece of cheese, or, you know, even like a piece of meat, or anything, egg, tuna, because protein, when you exercise, your fibers and your muscles become a little bit atrophy like this. So, and then with protein, makes your fibers back nice and smooth. Okay, so it makes you then that you're not as sore. So when your fibers go back to smooth, you're not as sore after your exercise. So you're able then to recover faster and then exercise the next day as well. So protein, this is why athletes, you know, they have the pasta dinners, you know, before the exercise, and all the carbohydrates, of course, good carbohydrates, you know, not like ice cream or a donut, but they have, you know, rice and pasta, breads, you know, things like that. And then after the exercise, then comes the protein to smooth out those muscles, so that it decreases the soreness down quite a bit. Is that clear? All right. All right. And that leads me to keep moving. I mean, I think it's really difficult to sometimes burn those extra calories that we tend to eat during the day. They say most people eat between 200-300 calories every day. And this is why every year you're putting a few more, a few more pounds every year, because it's a gradual thing. Every day that you put in 100 calories extra, it's about 10 pounds at the end of the year. So if you decrease 100 calories every day or 200-300 calories, then you're going to lose those 10 pounds at the end of the year. So it's that simple. By just trying to, take away that little bit of calories every day, you're going to gradually lose the weight rightly, because it's going to be more permanent. The slower you lose it, the more permanent it becomes. Okay. So it's important that I think that we also eat a little bit less, but also exercise a little bit more, because that's the trouble we have become. I mean, think about it now. We don't have to go to the post office. We don't have to go to the bank. We can do everything, ladies, from our computers. We can grocery shop. You can buy our heels. We can buy anything. I mean, anything. You can buy, you could do pretty much everything. You can look at your doctor. You don't have to even go to the doctor's office anymore. And now with the pandemic, we have become more sitting all day long. So what happens? You're not burning calories when you're sitting. When you're standing, actually, you burn a few more calories. But when you're sitting, zero. Okay. You burn some, because when you're breathing, you're burning some calories too, but very minimal. Okay. So with that means that we have to find ways to move now more, because we are actually doing a lot less, because we're doing so much now with our computers and from our homes. So we have to even make an extra effort to burn those extra calories. And especially now during the holidays, that we tend to eat a little bit more. Okay. So if you have a party to go, try to do something. And you know what burns the most calories? I'm one of those people. I grew up, in the 70s, but it was all about, cardio. And, the Jane Fonda craze, where it was all about, sweating. But you know what we have learned with time, and our research shows that actually what burns the most fat is actually resistance training and lifting weights, that kind of stuff. I mean, look at we have done a lot of studies with, like, for example, weightlifters. Weightlifters, they don't run nothing. They don't do any cardio. All they do is pump weights all day long. And look at their body, how lean they are. Does that tell you anything? Well, yeah, some athletes, runners, marathon runners are very lean, but the weightlifters, and the people who really lift weights actually have the most lean mass. And bodies have some of the healthiest, actually, combination of mass, muscle with fat, have the least amount of fat. So with that in mind, is that, and as females, we think, oh, if I lift weights or I do something, I'm gonna bulk up. No, believe me, to bulk up, you have to really be at it for hours, days, weeks, months, consistently, to even have a little bit showing, a little bit. It takes a lot to bulk up. So no fear. And it's something that you can do super easy. I mean, something like, I even have, let me see if I have any in this basket here. I have a basket and I have my other little weights in the other side here, but I have these bands, for example. I have these bands that I put it on my legs when I'm sitting and I'm trying to, this is, I put it between my legs, and then I try to, with my legs, try to move them. Okay. So these resistance bands, this one, I got it, it's like, Walmart, but they have the ones that are, this is a little harder to move, a little bit more difficult, but they have the greens, the yellows, and the reds, and they're like plastic. And even if you happen to be at your, physical therapy, they give them to you for free. So I have, my son goes to physical therapy, and he's got a ton of those bands because he's an athlete. So I'm always trying to get them from him. So you put them, you could do them in your arms, any movements that you do. The thing about the muscles, when you move them, okay, however it be with bands, it could be even lifting books, lifting your water bottles. If you have 2 water bottles, and this is things you could do from sitting, and even just like getting up and sitting down without, trying not to, or even when you're brushing your teeth and trying to balance it with one foot. Okay. Little things like that continues to move the muscle even after you finish. And this is why, in those muscles, guess what? They burn fat. That's the only thing that increases your metabolism and burns fat, is when you move the muscle, because the muscle continues to what do they call it? Continues to, move even after you exercise. And that any movement with the muscle is burning fat. And burning fat, okay? Remember that, burning fat, not muscle, is burning fat. What burns muscle is starving yourself. It's going in those crazy diets. And then you're wasting, because that muscle is what helps you to move and helps you to stay standing and to help you walk and to lift the weights and all this stuff. So you don't want to waste your muscle. You want to waste the fat. And the fat burns when you do those exercises with weights, resistance, what they call it, resistance training. And there is like a gazillion videos in the internet. I mean, not just a ton, a gazillion videos. And there's apps that are free. I mean, I go to my my fitness app. They have a free set, don't go to the pro, because they always try to, get you to go pro. But all these years, I've always been in the free side, and they have lots of exercises in there. They have also, they give you menus. They tell you how many calories you need. So it's a great way to really understand what your body needs. Okay. So if you go to MyFitnessPal, it's an app. If you're savvy with that, or you can go in the computer too. You can do it in your computer or your phone in the app, and they can talk to each other. So you can track your food intake, you can track your exercise, and it tell you how many calories you need. It goes a little bit more conservative on the calories, I noticed. Like for me, it gave me 1,200 calories, if I wanted to lose weight. So, it's even though I'm 5 feet, but it is, you can know that you can add maybe 100 calories or 2 more to what they'll give you. Okay. But I also have these little weights. Let me see if I can find them here really quick. Hold on.
And Sylvia, while you're looking, you mentioned the resistance training. They remind me of the Thigh Masters. Is that like the Thigh Master?
It's like the Thigh Master, yeah, but it's an elastic thing. It's an elastic. It's an elastic thing. It's really hard, actually. It's not very easy to do this, but I put it on my ankles, and then as I walk around, like a little penguin. But I also have others that are not as tight as this. And these are the 2 little pounds that I have. These are stuff, again, you can get them at Target, Walmart, these little weights too. When I walk, if I go walking or if I'm around the house, I just kind of like, you can also get the ones that are, that you can wrap around your ankle. And these are I believe they're only like 2 pounds. They're really light. But, that way you can carry them for a longer time. See, that's the trick. If you go 5 pounds, 3 pounds, that's a lot. And you can only do that for a little bit of time. But if you have something like 2 pounds, and for my mom who's 89, I have 1 pound for her. So, again, if you don't move it, you lose it. And if you're going to go out, this is something you could do from your desk, even if you have your arthritis or whatever, this is stuff you could do from sitting. When you're watching la telenovelas, mis ladies, you can be doing this, okay? You could be doing a little bit of this. And again, you're burning those calories. So when you go to the party, then you can have that little bit of flan. Share it with somebody. Even if you're going to share it, you still can do exercise. All right, I know we're running out of time, so I just have, I think 1 or 2 more to go. And I think actually I have 1 more, and then, we can go into some questions. But then all the thing that I want to say is to be mindful. And I know we talked about this in our title, because I think we need to be conscious of everything we put inside, okay? And that requires that we stop and listen a little bit, okay? And I have an exercise that I do with this, and I know we don't have time, but sometimes I take like a little piece of chocolate and I tell people to close their eyes, to grab a little bit of piece of that little tiny piece of chocolate, like a Hershey's Kiss chocolate, something like that or smaller. And then you eat it in little pieces and you try to bite 15 times, because that's what it takes to register to your brain what you're doing, okay? So when you putting something in your mouth, always put your fork or spoon down and then you chew and try to chew it 15 times. Okay, as tiny as it is, try to chew each bite about 15 times, okay? And I always try to tell people to do that with their eyes closed, because you can then feel the texture, feel the flavor, feel the aroma. You can really enjoy and think about the people who made it, be thankful for that. Take time when you're eating. Don't just eat just because. Think about the people who made it, which is usually my people. Mis amistades están trabajando en esas fincas, So think about the people who made it, say a grace for them, and think about, oh, the flavor is so magical. I mean, enjoy it. Enjoy it. If you're going to have that little piece of chocolate, you're going to have that little piece of pie, not the whole thing, maybe but half of it. Share it with somebody, close your eyes and enjoy that piece. If you're sitting on that table this Thanksgiving, and eating, lechon or turkey or whatever it might be, take one, cut it in small pieces, put a small piece in your mouth, chew it about 15 times. Think about the people who made it, who prepare, and everybody who's preparing all these meals, and really enjoy it, because food is a right to our body. Without food, we can't live. Okay? We can't. It's like a car without gas. It's not going to go. Food is a right to our body, and we just have to retrain ourselves. We have to retrain our bodies and our mind to really be mindful of everything you put in there. Did I have enough of the food groups? Did I have enough color combination, enough colors around my plate? So you don't have the same thing, like corn every day, or corn, tortilla, rice, all the same color. Think about also color combinations, so that the different colors and the different food groups, will bring you all these nutrients that your body needs without even counting all these nutrients, okay? So I want you to really be mindful. And even if it's a crumb that you put in your body, do I really need that? Am I really hungry, or am I thirsty? Did I really had enough of that already? Do I really need that second serving? Or do I just want to sit here and just kind of like, let it sit down and see what's going on? And see if I need to go back, then I'll go back. But let me just kind of like sit here, join a little conversation, and then maybe later I'll go back and see if I need that second serving. Okay, so I want you to be really mindful, because I think that's important, that we are conscious of what's going in, and not just like, eating just for pleasure or whatever. It's pleasurable, no question about it, but you also want to enjoy that pleasure and give it the time and the day when you're actually consuming your food as well. And with that, I just, want to open it up. I know we have just a few minutes, but, I'm happy to stay a little longer. I'm not going anywhere. My kids are not home tonight, So I just want to, unmute yourself, and, any questions, anything, any comments, what you think, bring it on. Floor is yours.
Well, hi, this is Tish. And I want to say that, I recently lost 50 pounds. From all the things that you have said, especially being mindful. And it's always choices and portions. Do I really need that? Or do I really want that? Or I want my glass of wine, so I'm not going to have this, so it's that. But one of the things I wanted to say is, I always go to one of my sisters every Thanksgiving. So after I help her, then I say, I'm going to go take a quick walk. And so I go walk before the rest of the family shows up, and that helps. At least I got a little something in before I start enjoying the meal. So
that's the way to do it. That's exactly.
So I just wanted to share that. And thank you for reaffirming everything that I have been doing.
Thank you. And and like I said, these things I've proven. I mean, literally, I have seen people lose their weight when you just put, like you don't, Trish, you just put your mind to it, and you think consciously about it. You take time, because these things take time. This is your body. This is your Porsche. If you don't take care of it, who else? Nobody else is going to say, oh, don't eat that. I mean, some people do, but literally, ultimately, it's your decision. You are the master. You're the captain of your own ship, and you can steer the ship in the right direction. And, and again, when we really, it's not easy. I know, I've been there. I know how difficult this is. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And these subtle tips, we're not telling people not to eat. We're telling people to how to really have that better relationship with food, so that you can really be more, feel better at the end of the day. Thank you, Tish. That was great.
Sylvia, what do you think of intermittent fasting and fasting in general?
Yeah, I think, I'm one of those people too, that I think fasting once in a while, it's great, because it really, I think it kind of recharges your body too. It kind of makes you think like, okay, stop. Let's just kind of like put it all into perspective. I'm one of those that think that, a little bit of fasting is not bad. But I think also sometimes, the diets could be a little bit harmful for some people. If you have diabetes, you need your medication, you need to feed, you need to have food with that. So it depends on the person. Sometimes it might work for some people really well. But, at the end of the day, I really want people to just eat the right way. I want them to enjoy food with the people they love. I want them to really have that good relationship with food, because especially for us, I don't know about you girls, but when I was little, it was all about eat, because I was very thin. And it was about mis tías, come, nena, come. Mm-hmm. Then later, when I went to college, it was just like, okay, you're eating enough. Stop, you're getting chunky. What's wrong with you? Well, I remember feeling nauseous when I was a little girl from all the food that they were like, cómetelo, tu tía se va a enojar si no te lo comes, no seas malagradecida, And, I love my mom and, and everything, and, nothing wrong, because that's all they knew. That was the best they knew, but now we know better. So I try so hard to really build that good relationship and tell people, when you're full and satisfied, it's okay to say, no, thank you. I'm so satisfied, but, I'll take a little bit. I'll take it home. I'll take that little bit. I'll eat it later. I'll bring it home for tomorrow. Something. They're going to understand that when you had enough, it's okay to be the captain of your own ship. And because only you know how much you had, and some of us are little. I'm only 5 feet. They wanted me to feed me like my brothers. I had 3 brothers.
How about taking supplements? I take turmeric, I take fish oil, I take all of those things that make you stronger.
I think supplements have a place as well. And I think it's one of those things too that, I make sure that you're getting the ones that you need. Like, I'm already postmenopausal. I need calcium. I need omega-3s for the health of my heart. I need, what else I take? Omega. And then I take some vitamins. Turmeric,
inflammation. Turmeric is crucial.
So, especially if you have like arthritis, that's a great thing too. So I think, it depends what your needs are. Supplements have a place, because supplements can be expensive. So I make sure that I give the ones that they need, and not something like, I drink plenty of vitamin C, so I'm not going to take vitamin C. I love juice, I love fruits, so I don't need vitamin C. But somebody might not take a lot of vitamin C and they might need it, or they have a weak immune system and then they need to bring more vitamin C. So I think it depends on your needs, but supplements do have a place. But I don't like to give supplements just because they're expensive. And if you don't need it, then it's really, it's a waste of money.
Comadres, it is after 7:02. And
8:02.
Comadre Sylvia, thank you so very, very much for these amazing tips. For some of us, they're reminders. For others, people are learning new tips. And what I do know is they'll help us be healthier. Drink your water. Mind your calories. Take care of yourselves. Feliz Día de Acción de Gracias. And mil gracias to all of you for joining us, and Comadre Sylvia, especially to you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. We'll meet again, I'm sure.
We will. We will.
Love
Thank
you
you.
all. Les deseo lo mejor, mis comadres.
Thank
Well-
you.
We hope to see you again.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
For everybody, remember that you can go to lascomadres.com and get more information about all the activities and what's going on, and see some of the recordings, as well as sign up for the book series. So please go to both websites.
And December 22nd is our next speaker series concert. So you'll get more information.
Night, everybody.
Thank you, Charlie. Good night, everybody.